Thank you. Obrigado.
There were some lines that expressed your philosophy. I don't know if you remember them or not.
Oh, I remember that. I
Let's
said,
hear.
this is what it is, okay? I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now, you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Okay, hello. Now we can turn on the lights. Hello, Abrantes. Hello to all of you. First of all, let's start with you. You are awesome. You, oh, Luis is not anymore here. You, Canal 180, 180. You're amazing for organizing this conference here in this beautiful town in Portugal. And the reason you are awesome is, can we turn on the lights of the audience so they can see each other? So it's because you made it here. I don't know if some of you, maybe you live here or in Lisbon or in Portugal, but like these guys that flew all over from Canada, and I guess there's a bunch of people that are flying from across Europe, and we are now here for a reason, and I guess most of you will discover that maybe by Friday, maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year. But that's special, so let's stand up. Please, let's stand up. So I need to credit this. I will. Oh, this is not text edit. Okay. Wait. I'm clearly improvising. Okay. So credit. Okay. So a while ago, we did a small event in New York, and this guy, we invited him to the event, and he did this, what we are going to do now. So first of all, I want you to turn 45 degrees, so you look to the face of the person next to you. Okay, so everybody has like a couple. If not, you can do like a threesome, it's okay. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so I need, can you come here? I need one human here. Come on. Okay. 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 So can you look at my eyes? So you look at each other's eyes and repeat after me. So I care about you.
I care about you.
And now we hug. Okay, thank you. Obrigado. Okay. See, you're awesome. Okay. So I'm here. I will stand and sit down because I don't have a clicker. I'm here to talk about or share this question with you, and I hope that after this 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes that I will be speaking, that you have some added questions on top of it. But this is the main question. Do you trust in the randomness of the internet? I don't know, I don't want to know the answer yet, but this is the question, okay? So, hola, Abrantes.
This connection is like love, a complex system revealed in multiple shapes. A TBT throwback of a young year, your last photo of the day, that cute blue baby. I am part of it.
I am part of it. Also you. But
it's more than journey.
We are all in it.
Isn't it beautiful? If you're happy to follow me, I may not follow. But if you walk beside me, we can create a new fashion together.
It's not about a girl and a boy. It's like an everlasting summer relationship where friends reach an interdependent connection.
A like for like state is not the only way. I know you like to have fun when I see the smile in your face. But remember all the food your brain can eat.
Look around.
See how amazing this is in perspective. Understand the style the environment works.
This is what we are. We are.
And we are I am. I'm Andrés Colmenares. I'm one of the co-founders of Internet Age Media. The other co-founder, my lover and business partner, Lucy, is in the audience. If you want to say hi later, we are happy to accept drink invites. And this is our Twitter, Instagram, so you start like tagging if you want to talk, or remember, we are there in the internet, because we are I am. And this talk, or whatever this is, I'm going to split it in two parts, okay? So it's like smaller chunks for you. So one part of it is what the fuck is I am. The other part is a sort of a speech that I have here, okay? So let's see how it goes. I am. We describe I am, first of all, as it is our dream come true. Dream slash nightmare slash dream slash nightmare. Depends the day, the month you ask. It has been an amazing journey. We started just 3 years ago. It's basically, we have a shared background as futures researchers. We have been working for a while analyzing and studying futures for different companies, brands, and institutions. And actually, yeah, when people ask me, where are you from? Or when they ask us, where are you from? We always like to answer, we are from the internet. But our passports are Colombian, but Lucy was born in Paris, but we both were raised in Bogota, and we are local to Barcelona. So welcome to the internet age. We have started this project, as I was saying, in the summer of 2014. And to tell the story very quickly, at some point we had a prototype, an idea of creating what we call a platform sometimes. What in reality, our vision, what we really want to create, what we are building, is an opportunity atelier, like an opportunity workshop. It used to be an opportunity factory, the idea, but the factory, the metaphor, it's kind of tricky. So we define ourselves today as an opportunity atelier and a network of networks. And as a platform, what we are looking is at the futures of these three big topics: media, learning, and the arts. So in media, we are putting together, here is better, right? Here or here? Here, okay. We're putting together big media companies as Vice, BBC, Al Jazeera, with niche publications like Boom, like It's Nice That, like Creative Applications Network, and we are looking at how media is evolving in the internet age. It is not anymore just the domain of MTV. It is now our domain, because we are a medium, and together we are media. Then we are also looking at the evolution of education, how education is evolving into learning, into something that is more a layer rather than a life stage, and then it has multiple implications. So we are, again, connecting creative companies with universities, like advanced schools, some schools that are run by one person, others that are as big as, well, one of the biggest creative schools in the world, the University of Arts of London, and then the arts. In the arts, we are connecting cultural institutions, museums, but also emerging artists, especially those working in the famous intersection of arts and technology. But basically, when we have this or when we look at these big topics, we are looking at what people say, how people think, and what people do. That is the triangle of truth. Okay? So, how we are doing this futures research and looking at the evolution of internet as culture, we like to think of internet as a network of people, which is a really fascinating adventure. And we do three main things, three main activities. The first one being events. And we start with this idea of putting together in one same time space 300 people, 320-ish, around 300, every year in Barcelona. And this is our main project, the I Am Weekend. I Am Weekend basically happens during 3 to 4 days. We invite, for every edition that happens every spring, around 30 speakers from around the world. And we have a number of activities, from talks like this, workshops, installations. So I'm going to share with you the people that have been flying all around the world to join us in Barcelona for the last 3 years. (2016). And 2017, this happened just 2 months ago. So every year we pick a conceptual research theme. The first one was the evolution of internet as culture. The second one was from complexity to emergence. And this year we are looking at the renaissance of utopias. And then we, through a lot of research, but also a lot of embracing the serendipity, the beauty of the internet, the randomness, we end up having really eclectic lineups where really amazing things happen. So we have talks here. You can see a photo of the stage of our last event with Amani Al-Khatatbeh, who is the founder of a publication called muslimgirl.com. She's basically a media activist. I think she's 23 or 24 years old. She's based in Brooklyn, and she's a sort of media activist. She's challenging the stereotypes built around Muslim women through many projects. And this is, for us, it was very important to invite her in these troubled times, now that we have all of these hate flowing in the internet. So this is the kind of people that come to I Am Weekend. There's, I just wanted to put some faces here, but we have, just to show the mix, the youngest fashion editor in the world, Elise. We have the founder of the Monocle of the Middle East, Rashim bin Habib. We have artists like El Guincho, a science fiction filmmaker from Nairobi. We have maybe the #1 specialist in the world in digital diplomacy, a founding investor of Riot Media, one of the most important VR media-driven companies. So it's a mix of people. Then we do workshops, as you will do plenty of them here, just to develop all the knowledge that is shared there and all the ideas. And then there's this element of serendipity. When we communicate our event, there's always these talks, workshops, and serendipity. And in serendipity, there's dinners, there's parties, there's also every year more and more these kind of things, which is basically art projects that we commission, or curate, or co-create with different kinds of organizations, entities. This was the project we did with Jeff and the Boom community. Another example of this approach to participatory art that we feel is really relevant. We had over 1,600 pencils sent from around the world, and then attendees created this structure with the help of a system designed by a Vancouver-based studio called Tangible Interaction. So we still have these pencils in our office in Barcelona. I guess at some point we will need to do something with that. But you know, there's a beauty in these kind of events, but there's limited. You know, in our event we can only have around 300 people. Here, well, we have a limited number of the people, which has a beauty in itself. But we want to reach and engage with more people in the world. So the question is, how can we reach thousands of people in more than 10 cities, not just in Barcelona? So we created a format called I Am Pop-ups, which are basically meetups. We can describe them sometimes as salons, and where we have some panels, conversations, smaller groups of people from 30 to 60 to 100. And we start discussing all of these topics about the futures of internet culture. So we did one in Barcelona in a hotel. We also had the really good chance to do one in Sao Paulo in a cultural space run by Red Bull called the Red Bull Station. Then we went to Berlin and did one in an apartment run by a publication called Frenden von Frenden. And then at some point we got an email from Frog Design, the design consultancy, and they asked us to do one of these events in their offices in Brooklyn. And we had like 100 people. This is where we met Ekene, the guy of the hug. And then we did another one in London, in Oslo. And the idea is to use this format, well, to be able to engage with communities around the world. But we are ambitious and we dream big. So the question is, how can we reach millions of people and be really like global? And that's where the internet comes in. And so we're using the internet, and we are creating what we can describe as content, mostly videos, but also some editorial projects. So you can go to our Vimeo channel, and you will find there over 70 talks of our previous events. We haven't released yet the videos of this year. I guess we will have them in the second part of the year. So all of this content is available for free. And then we also produced a video series in 2015 to start develop all of these questions around what is the internet. Actually, we had the chance to partner with Canal 180 to broadcast this in Portuguese television. So this we were suddenly on TV in Portugal, and this was translated to Portuguese. So that was really, really amazing. So obrigado for the opportunity, Luis and team. So as I was saying, we also have these like of content products. We have a publication on Medium, the I Am Journal, where we are documenting all of these big topics that we are looking at, doing interviews, also sharing the behind the scenes of all of these projects. And we have a weekly newsletter that recently has not been that weekly because we have been super busy. And it's super important. We always have GIFs. So this is my favorite GIF of the internet. Just, if you play Nicolas Yard to this GIF, it's amazing. Okay, and the third branch of IAM is where we do the research and experiments. It's our kind of playground, and we call it the IAM Labs. And here is where we are looking at how to apply all of this energy, discussion, conversation that happens in the events to give meaning, to have impact. So we are working here with cultural institutions, we're working with some companies, we're working also with individuals and collectives, looking mainly at these 7 topics. We're looking at the futures of arts and museums, and we will share a video about this after this. We are looking also at the future of living and mobility, so we are working with a car brand in Spain, looking at how cars will look, the interior design of cars will look in 2025. We're also working with a construction company there, looking at how the apartments of 2025 will look in, or should look in Barcelona. We are working in the futures of education with the University of Arts London, and we will see also a little bit more about that later. And then these other topics, media, work. One of the open doors is looking at the futures of music festivals and futures of money, because suddenly music festivals, and we just heard about all the story of Sonar, for example, they have become these laboratories where cities are, especially in North America, they are testing many things in festivals because they are kind of part of our culture, well, the contemporary culture in very interesting ways, where technology and a certain scale of people mix. So we're looking at all of these topics. The way that we approach this research is in part using and understanding the arts as a creative process. So we do some curation and commissioning of installations and just experiments in, as I was saying before, this famous intersection of arts and technology. This is some snaps of a collaboration we did with an agency from New York called Form Ant. They used our research theme of the utopias to create and test, basically play with some visualization software that they have been working on for the last couple years. And they created these micro utopias in our latest event in Barcelona. We're also working with schools like Elisava, the most important design school of Barcelona. So we do advice and training with them. So we are working with their, all the academic directors to rethink the way design is taught in schools, looking again at the horizon of 2025. And then this is the example of our work with in the field of futures of arts and museums with the Tate in London. So we'll play a short video.
In the internet age, museums have the opportunity to go beyond preserving the past and begin cultivating the future. Not only the future of art, but the way we understand, learn, and create the future itself. Following these ideas, IAM and Tate partnered to create Random Co-Jams. Random Co-Jams are sessions of creative improvisation to prototype ideas about the future of the museum, following 3 principles. Random, the beauty of an unpredictable output. Co, the value of a collaborative and open process. Jams, the joy of creative improvisation inspired by jazz. For this first session, IAM and Tate invited a group of internet-age talents with eclectic backgrounds, working at the intersection of digital arts, new media, music technology, data-driven experiences, interaction design, open source installations, and research of algorithms in pop culture. They joined 3 members of Tate Collectives, the youth-driven group who advise Tate in producing events and programs to inspire other young people. Together, they explored 500 years of British art in 30 minutes. And then, for 7 hours, they shared ideas and skills, created extraordinary prototypes, and asked new questions that will shape the next steps of Random Co-Jams. This is how we're starting to create the futures of museums, connecting diverse perspectives, pushing the boundaries of emerging technology, embracing uncertainty, creating collectively, and empowering young people. By evolving from presenting the arts of yesterday to also being a platform for tomorrow, museums can facilitate the unique human connections needed to enact and shape better futures. In randomness, we trust.
And overall, what we have been lucky enough to build in these 3 years is basically a family. And here we are not using family as a marketing term. It's really a family. These hundreds of people that are spread around the globe have become for us really special persons in every sense, because at the end the core value of I Am is all about empowerment. So I get very emotional because I remember 3 years ago around this time, well, it's after summer 2014, we had a PDF which was the prototype of the first event we did. And we used that to invite Jeff to Barcelona. You know, we want to have in Barcelona three speakers, yes or yes. And imagine just asking, you know, just come here and see how it goes, because, you know, it's the first edition of an event. And Jeff not only trusted us, but he said, how can I help you? And then it's like, please, like, write a blog post about the event. So, like, all the internet learns about it. And then instead of just like writing a post like out of context, he pushed forward this idea of the line segments project, the pencil project, and it was amazing. And then, you know, fast forward to March 2015, we were having a paella after the event. This is kind of the things that have been cultivated around I Am. And we are lucky enough just to have these amazing people around us, and we are all of us. We are cultivating opportunities for each other, and that's actually the reason we are here, because Canal 180 is also part of this family. So this is the bright side of the internet, I would say. And talking about bright side, this is our kind of motto. In randomness, we trust, and the ideas behind these 4 words that we constantly repeat, and we have the domain for it as well, is that we believe that randomness is better when shared in real life. And you are about to experience a very special week here in Abrantes. And I would really like to know what happens after you embrace this randomness and apply all of these ideas that have been shared during the day, and learn from each other and use the internet. So because of that, I have some inputs, because we have to fly back tomorrow to Barcelona, so we won't be able to join you during the week. We will follow from the distance, but we will give you some things for the week. The main tool is going to be our manifesto. So we brought some postcards that I will going to put there, so you pick them up after the presentation. And the manifesto, it's basically the collection that emerged after the first event that we did, of these ideas of how when we talk that, we say that the internet is a network of people, what we really mean. So it's about embracing its randomness, is about thinking of the internet in terms of culture, Like digital culture is a thing, but we are really interested in how internet evolves as cultures, actually in plural. Also how internet blurs the lines of time and space, how it shapes collective intuition, how it opens access to universal stories, and overall this idea of imperfection, that the features of the internet are imperfect, because we are humans, we are imperfect, and we will come later to this, okay? So this is the question that started everything. What the fuck is the internet? And when we say what the fuck, we need to talk about dreams. So let's talk about dreams. Okay, so this is a piece of the opening titles of the first time weekend commissioned to artist Claudia Mate. We basically gave her creative freedom. We told her, you know, this is our dream project. We used to call it like, this is like our baby, blah, 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 because we're a couple. And then she came out with this. So be careful when you give creative freedom to artists, because amazing things can happen. So, yeah, dreams. The big question, maybe for some of you, most of you, is how to make dreams a reality. And what do you do when you have a big question? You go to the internet, probably Google or YouTube. So we went to YouTube, and we found this.
Every now and then, say what the f***. What the f*** gives you freedom? Freedom brings opportunity. Opportunity makes your future.
Risky business. So what the fuck for us is, it really means this. So what the futures? And for this we have 3 principles that we would like to share with you, and that this is one of the things that we would like you to use during the week. First principle, think of or use the word futures always, not future, not the future of, but futures, because it's inclusive and plural. So it's just an S, but it's all about the word, so futures. Second principle, think of futures as tools and processes, not just like a destination, not technology. There's this idea of futurist technology that we need to challenge. So think of futures as tools. And the third principle is to go beyond the paradigm of prediction, trying to predict the future, and let's go all hands on invention. It is really hard to invent the futures, but it's I think it's mandatory now, especially privileged people like us, that we can look at these opportunities, use the internet to invent futures. So these 3 principles. Another question, how do we stop consuming the future? and end up being used by the corporations running the internet. That's why we decided this year to go deep into utopias and basically take a 500-year-old idea and bring it now to the internet age and think, what is the meaning of utopias now? How can we use it as a tool of change, of positive change, when for many reasons, it's very difficult times, the future is associated with apocalypses, with dystopias. So we think we need to balance that narrative. That's why we are pushing forward the idea of utopias. And this is very important. We are not just naive, positive people. The idea that we want to push forward, and this comes from one of the person who was supposed to give the opening keynote of our last event, Professor Zygmunt Bauman. He unfortunately died in January, but we have been trying to extract all of the value of his ideas, of his knowledge to now, because we feel it's super relevant. Zygmunt Bauman, if you haven't read him, read him, Google him. There's a lot of material on YouTube for him. You don't need to watch some of his interviews. And one of the main ideas of his books is this idea of the critical optimism. Maybe he's more critical than optimistic, but we think that it is very important that right now, as a society, we embrace the conversations about the futures with critical optimism. And we were lucky enough to take all of these ideas and put it in the table of 10 super talented students of the University of Arts London. They have 6 schools, so we did an open call, like 100 students applied, then we picked 10, and this is what happened.
It's 2024. What stories do you want to tell? What stories do you want to be told? What will education look like? How do we prepare students to solve problems the world can't imagine? Get them to think about futures. Futures are directions, not newness or hype. They manifest as behaviors. IAM Future Studio, an experimental studio exploring the implications of technology for the futures of society, education and creativity. A collaboration with University of the Arts London and IAM. 1 week, 9 learning partners, 1,800 Slack messages, infinite post-its, 10 participants, made up of current students and alumni from a range of art and design disciplines, and 5 research themes, each exploring our renaissance of utopias. Learning is structured around 6 defined stages: collaborate, discover, demystify, ideate, prototype, exchange. Collaborate, creating solidarity and empowerment through a collaborative philosophy. Discover, understanding the issues through research methods. Demystify, contextualizing issues and understanding users' needs. Ideate, creating ideas through mashups, brainstorms, sketches, and other ideation methods. Prototype, developing ideas through making and testing. Exchange, sharing ideas through presenting and networking. There is no future. There are only possible futures. We are here to shape them. IAM Future Studio.
And here, one of the tools that we were using is this very simple canvas, where we were inviting the students to have this shift in their thinking, to think more planetary, to think also more long-term, and also to develop more the critical thinking. So talking about thinking, because we really like to think about thinking, like a lot. Now we are going to move to the second part of this talk. And I want to talk to you about metaphors. Okay, so here I need to be sitting down. I would like to stand up, but I have some notes because since we have a big screen, and if you can turn off the lights again, sorry, the light people will hate me at this point. What do you do when you have a big screen? GIFs? Yes, GIFs. So I have a bunch of GIFs for you, but also some ideas to share, okay? So let's see how this goes. Bear with me, lights off. Okay, let's go. So now let's talk about metaphors. When we talk about metaphors, especially talking about the futures, we use cones. Because in the cones we can embrace the preferable, the probable, the plausible, the possible futures. And for us, utopias are the flavors of these cones. So we have another question. How do we use the internet to imagine and share alternative narrative of futures? Metaphors. So, metaphors shape not just our communication, but also shape the way we think and act. Let's think about the metaphors we are using to understand the internet. The early dominant spatial metaphors such as cyberspace, web, information superhighway, and more recently, cloud. All of these have an implicit vision of what the internet should be, and they have deep political implications. These metaphors reveal intentions and indicate where power is concentrated. But as time goes by, the metaphors get deeply embedded in culture and end up shaping not only our perception of reality, but also the future development of internet itself. We are navigating complex times. It is mandatory to question and constantly examine the dominant metaphors and narratives to determine if they are reflecting properly the realities and the internet. Because, like many other technologies, the internet is not good or bad. It just reflects who we are as humans. So, in order to navigate these complex imaginary geographies, we also need to decide the best possible direction for them. One that avoids transforming the internet into a self-destructive machine that deliberately spreads ignorance, confusion, and manipulation. It is time to accept that we live in post-dichotomy age. The online-offline metaphor is not valid anymore, and the consequences are huge. Just think about the corporations monetizing clicks, an apparently venal behavior that has concentrated unthinkable amounts of power in companies such as Google or Facebook. We need to question the dominant business model of the internet, understand how it works, and how to use it, instead of being used by those currently defining the metaphors. Here's a what if. What if there was a massive click strike? And maybe, just for one day, millions of users didn't like posts on Facebook. Now let's talk about data. Let's think about the dominant metaphors currently used in media for describing data. Most of the metaphors we use to talk about data in popular culture make sense to technocratic corporations and their leaders. Those building and disseminating information technologies, but they are fundamentally dehumanizing. It is no wonder we continue to believe that we have nothing to hide in the face of big data, because we do not have the cognitive context to grasp how corporations are using data. The dominant metaphors for understanding data are industrial. These metaphors make business sense, but not sense as individuals in a data-driven society. Instead, they take power away from the person for which the data refers and give it to those who have the tools to analyze and interpret data. Data then becomes obscured, specialized, and distant. There is a huge problem with treating data as a natural resource, particularly if we blindly accept that tech giants are the rightful owners. Yes, big data might be the new oil, but let's remember what data really is: a natural resource created by, for, and because of sovereign human beings, you and me. Let's not allow a new breed of corporations to extract the wealth from us, like we've allowed in the past. If we allow privatization of data, as we've permitted with other natural resources in the past, we are fucked. Finding a proper definition of data can be challenging, but we are forced all the time to deal with broad concepts that we cannot fully articulate, so we use metaphors. Depending on the situation, data could be liquid. Where's the liquid? Well, data can be liquid or solid, as in data mining, or gas, as the cloud. Why and how these metaphors get used when they do is not immediately obvious. But the actual problem is that metaphors are encumbered with assumptions. And when people use metaphors, they embed those assumptions in the discussion. Okay. But now let's talk something even more interesting. Let's talk about AI, artificial intelligence. Terms like intelligence, cognitive, and learning are often used to refer to whatever AI means. We're using these words, by using these words, we influence us into believing that computers can think and learn the same way that humans do. The truth, however, is that computers don't think, that merely compute much faster, of course, and in different ways to us. Machines are mindless. They are not intelligent in the way humans are, and neither can they learn as humans do. As Nicolas Carr tells in his book, The Glass Cage, that is precisely where their utility lies. The coldness of their thinking complements the heat of our own. But as Daft Punk would say, we are human after all. Nicolas Carr also says something really smart in his book. We have defined our relationship with technology not as that of body and limb, or even sibling and sibling, but as that of master and slave. With roles reversed, the metaphor also informs society's nightmares about technology. As we become dependent on our technological slaves, we turn into slaves ourselves, like Britney Spears. But some physicists that use Medium, Kailash Awati and Simon Buckingham, they published an essay called Big Data Metaphors We Live By. They suggest in this essay that perhaps we should use a different metaphor, one that is inspired by the notion of the robotic exoskeleton. While some research teams are focused on inventing robots that embody AI in order to replace humans in high-risk contexts, others are focusing on augmenting the human body with exoskeletons that add strength, reach, and stamina to perform at a completely new physical level, but with human intelligence still firmly at the center. So we have the intellectual exoskeleton as the closing metaphor, in which we value AI and big data for what they can contribute, but in a broader context. So one of the interesting insights from this essay is this idea of moving from AI to IA and looking to intelligence augmentation. And we can take this one step further and think of in the augmentation of intuition. How can we use the internet to make augment our intuition? So basically, we need to change the way that we collectively think about data, so that it is not a new oil, but instead a new kind of resource entirely. For this to occur, we need to foster a deep understanding of data in society. And humanity has a mechanism for this kind of broad cultural change: the arts. As we move forward, we should encourage the existing, emerging artists, novelists, performers, poets, all of you here in this room, to have an active role in this conversation. This can happen in Abrantes, in Barcelona, in Toronto, in Vancouver, Copenhagen, everywhere. It needs to happen everywhere, because we have the internet. We need to think as a planet now. As creators, I invite you to think of data as a medium. We are in the inflection point where data emerges as a critical new medium for design and art, allowing people to live more naturally, spending less time with machines, and more on life itself. So we have time to ask more important questions. For example, how are you? Who are you? Why are you?
So I am abundant, I am love, I am passionate, I am a filmmaker, I am from Kenya, I am a mother, I will be a wife, and I am excited about life. And that's me.
So personalized data art can accomplish something traditional art forms can't. It allows us to see our nuances and idiosyncrasies in higher resolution, and to discover things we may have forgotten about ourselves, or perhaps has never known. So let's take our data back and turn it into something meaningful and imperfect, because imperfection is beautiful, and networks as the internet reflect who we are as humans. So, because time is completely over, we have 3 takeaways. It's basically 3 questions for this week. First question, how will the metaphors we use today shape our society tomorrow? Second question, how can our relationship with technology change if we think of intelligence or intuition augmentation instead of artificial intelligence? And third question, what experiments can we do tomorrow using data as a medium to explore essential questions as why are you or why are we? And the message today is that let's get political as we all got digital. If politics is basically about the distribution of power, there is a lot we can apply from how digital networks work. Most institutions, models and frameworks we use today to operate our society were cultivated in a very different time, and for different functions. It is time for us to imagine, cultivate, and invent what happens next.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
So yes, let's invent what happens next. Obrigado, thank you, gracias, and enjoy the weekend, the week.